Hello you guys, what is up? It's Becky, your soulful creative and also lunchtime urban sketching pal. We're out here at a place called Central Market. It's basically kind of like a food market slash grocery slash I think just random goodies like bubble tea, coconut desserts. I think you can also even get booze here kind of in the middle of the lunch day. But yes, this is located in the Central Business District and it's actually like maybe like a 10-minute walk from my office. So we're here naturally because I wanted to do a little bit of a sketch, and it is a little bit of a nicer day today. As you can see, I'm kind of sat outdoors, so you might see the lighting kind of change a little bit. It is the 28th of July, and just yesterday actually there was a heat wave that passed. Well, there's a heat wave in general this whole summer, but yesterday there was a typhoon that passed. So yesterday the air was so unbearably hot, and if you check out this video over here, you can see that I really tried to sketch outside but failed. So I resorted to sketch indoors instead. But now I felt like because the air is just slightly cooler, it's 32 degrees Celsius as opposed to the really unbearable 33-34 yesterday. But I don't know why this today, maybe because the storm is passing and there's a little bit of shower that happened last night and therefore the air is a little bit cooler. But I thought I would just seize this chance and just go out and sketch because that's what we do, that's what we love doing, right, is to go out and sketch. And today I decided to tackle not a complex subject but slightly a subject that's not super zoomed in. I tackled this basically the background view that you will see over there, and I'll pan in just a second, and it's just got a lot of interesting greens popped up against some interesting grays, and this is an interesting way I think to tackle. How many times can I say interesting, right? Should put an interesting counter down there or somewhere. But it's because it's a lot of warm greens against a really cool gray background, and that's also set against a really warm tan kind of sketchbook. And this is something that I'm trying to do a little bit more. I'm trying to really, now that I'm sort of back in Hong Kong without any immediate like travel plans, I really want to try and hone in on my sketching. I don't know if it's sketching through how, like why, or like how. I'm trying to be a little bit more deliberate about going out and practicing every day. There's only so much theory that I can consume, and I just want to sort of prioritize my art and focusing on kind of putting in the hours and try to truly practice. As my friend and I were talking about the other day, we've seen a lot of these sort of like great gouache painters that we really admire online through Instagram or through the community that we're both kind of sort of monitoring called warrior painters. And we noticed that a lot of them in like the very beginning, when we scroll past to the beginning of sort of Instagram, we call their like, well, she calls their drawings like potato level, and then now they're like god level. And I hope that now from my potato days that I could actually eventually grow to a god tier and hopefully just get there. And I think one of the ways is just to really try and problem solve every time I try to paint something. So for example, here I noticed that there are a lot of greens, but I don't know if it's because I've also been sketching a lot more greens. I'm able to kind of group them a little bit better and kind of separate like the lights from the darks. And I know they don't necessarily represent the greens that I see as a whole, but I think compared to sort of where I was maybe in the beginning of the journey where I could only see one green, I can now sort of separate the different greens, and I could learn how to mix the different greens. For example, I have like a yellow ochre here on my palette, and then I have a cadmium yellow or cadmium yellow lemon on my palette, and I have a Prussian blue and I think a brighter blue. So these are both like the kind of the warm and the cooler versions of the color, and just by crisscrossing those greens, I'm able to create like all these different hues of green right here, which of course when I add in a sort of white to the mix, it becomes a little bit different as well. So these are just some little things that I'm trying to pick up, trying to observe, trying to set something up a little bit differently. And these are some things that I'm trying to kind of figure out and in a way just try to reflect it in my painting here, not just for the grass down here, but also for the trees up there. And it's kind of interesting to learn how much I can do with really this like tiny gouache palette. And I don't know why I've never really thought about carrying gouache this way. I think I've always thought that like it has to be watercolors that go like this, and I've always had trouble kind of like layering it the way I wanted to. But I think just the influx of dried gouache palettes that have appeared on my feed, mainly from Sarah Burns really. I think she has a really great video about dried gouache, which I'll link down in the description below. But she's basically inspired me to be like, you know what, she kind of made me fall in love with gouache to begin with, so I'm just gonna try this dried gouache thing. And also people like Justin Donaldson, who creates like amazing art with gouache, and I just really want that. Sorry, I just found out that I've got paint on my hands, which is not unusual because there's like a lot of water running through this thing. So I'm just gonna dry out my palette a little bit by like tipping one of the edges against like my tissue paper and kind of getting rid of that green here as well. I guess mess is to be expected with gouache. Like, it's all good and fun. And plus I'm reusing a Kleenex anyway, so it's probably the water's probably reactivating paper from the back. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, really, I think I'm just trying to commit myself to put more in the hours. I don't know if maybe I'll sign up for a course maybe to get some more feedback, or I'll just set up time to paint more with my friends. But I think I'm going to try and deliberately put in maybe 10-20 minutes every day, hopefully, to paint. I mean, this painting today took 30, so it's not that bad. It doesn't take a lot of time. This is time that I would have spent anyway, and I could either have spent it, you know, kind of on my desk, try to kill time in my lunch break, or I could have just gone out and do this, and then now I can go back and eat lunch. Finding those little moments in the day to achieve deliberate practice. Yeah, I guess the thesis today is deliberate practice to advance from potato level is what I'm going to call this whole video today. And I think it's just something that I've been trying to do as well with my writing. I'm trying to be a little bit more deliberate, where every week where I post on my Substack, I try to pick an area to focus on, and then I try to kind of shape my post in a way. So it's like a lot of like really hitting all like the different areas and seeing like what clanks. But yeah, that's essentially, I guess, how you get better. Is not just through practice, but through deliberate practice. And this is a concept that I read in a book called So Good They Can't Ignore You. It's a great book. Would highly recommend. This writer's son is kind of showing that I should probably start making a move before the lunch crowd comes in. Thank you guys so much again for joining me on another adventure or sketch venture today. If you guys have any tips on how to achieve deliberate practice with your art, be it gouache, watercolor, or whatever it is in your life, really. I mean, art is such a loose term, right? Like, we can all use it in different sort of ways. I would love to hear it. Please put them down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, same time next week. Bye!